After several years of diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings, making it clear that the inclusion part is really meant to exclude the, participation of white women.
We have been covering on this channel the sort of slight but noticeable political transformation of Young Turks host Ana Kasparian over the weeks, right? So she came out and said something about how, well, she wants to be called a woman, and hey, listen, trans people are okay, but I want to be called a woman, this and that. Well, she came out this week and said something that genuinely is red-pilled. I don't mean that in the sense that, oh, well, it was a slight rebellion against the left. No, she said something that even a lot of conservatives might not agree with, and some conservatives are too scared to say. So she directly called out the anti-white agenda in this diversity, equity, and inclusion regime. Yeah, kind of the controversial stuff even for conservatives. And she also pointed out that the term Karen is a socially unacceptable derogatory slur against white women. This is Ana Kasparian. This is the same person who at the 2016 RNC was yelling, "Get off the stage, get off the stage" at Alex Jones. So this is quite a transformation, to say the least. And we will be reacting to that very video here in a second. But first, I got to tell you guys about our sponsors tonight over at Noble Gold Investments, because folks, the TYT is still ridiculous about economic issues, right? And we know, as a matter of fact, we know the deal with inflation. We know the deal with the fact that we may be defaulting on our debt. Countries are considering currently dropping the US dollar as the global reserve currency. I do not need to tell you the fact that this economy, and specifically the US dollar, is incredibly unstable, which is why you need to protect your retirement with a gold or precious metals IRA from Noble Gold Investments. What is that? Essentially, that is a retirement account that is linked directly to the price of gold and silver, which, in a time where the currency is totally up in flames, tends to be more stable than anything else. So that way, you're not reliant necessarily on the crashing value of the US dollar. You are not reliant on stocks that are owned by BlackRock. No, your retirement is safe with Noble Gold Investments. So be sure to go check them out at my affiliate link. Again, Gold and Precious Metals IRA, to protect your retirement from the forces of inflation, BlackRock, and Joe Brandon. Again, be sure to go check out VinceDaoGold.com. That is VinceDaoGold.com. Check out our sponsors. Protect your retirement at VinceDaoGold.com. All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let us simply react here to the Ana Kasparian video. We'll watch a little bit of it and give you our thoughts, okay? So here it is. So you can hear it for yourself. So you can kind of assess whether my introduction was accurate. Here you go.
Uber has placed Bo Young Lee, its head of diversity, on leave after she moderated a couple of employee events that made the horrifying mistake of including the perspectives of white female employees. After several years of diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings, making it clear that the inclusion part is really meant to exclude the, participation of white women.
So there she just straight up and said it. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, all that whole push is really just a push against white people, okay? Even... I have to admit, again, I know a lot of times when we point out, hey, this left-wing figure said this, and it's usually what did they really say, right? Even with Ana the first time, what did she say? She wants to be called a woman, not a birthing person. Wow, groundbreaking take. But again, this is a take that even a lot of, I think, mainstream conservatives are scared to say. How often will you hear this even on Fox News? I know in our right-wing sector, maybe on the internet, it's a lot more common, but how often will you even hear Fox News talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the frame of it really being, again, an agenda specifically against white people? You will very rarely hear that. Because that is controversial to say, right? To really just go out and call something anti-white, that's racist, that's controversial. Usually, how I hear the conservative establishment sort of talk about the issue of diversity regime, whatever, they say, oh, well, it's really hurting the minorities who are benefiting from it, right? This is what you hear all the time. Affirmative action really hurts the Black and Hispanic students who benefit from it because it's lowering the standard for them and it's telling them that they're stupid or whatever. And then maybe they'll drop out of school because they're not fit for it. It's like, yeah, maybe those things are true. Maybe those are somewhat, I suppose, secondary fallout effects of affirmative action. But no, the primary reason why affirmative action is bad is because it hurts, in the case of college admissions, right? The white and Asian kids who get screwed. That's like the primary reason. But what conservatives will often do, because that's too controversial to say, because implied in that you have to go out and say, hey, stop discriminating against white people, right? What they will often do is say, no, well, it's really, the problem is actually, on its head. You're actually not really helping X minority group you're trying to help. It's like, no, the problem is not who you're putting up. The problem is who you're dragging down, right? And who you're dragging down very often with the DEI stuff is white men and women. Like, that's the fundamental problem, right? And Anna just goes out there and says it, which, again, pretty red-pilled. For her standards, and considering this is something Fox News is scared to say, arguably, you could say Tucker Carlson being one of the few people to say it. Hey, it's, it's very
Some
interesting.
employees at Uber didn't take kindly to the sudden paradigm shift. Backlash from Uber workers who felt the topic was insensitive spooked the company's execs, who immediately...
But again, guys, you want to support tonight, support the podcast studio. Super chats are open. All right, I'll be reading them between the segments. Appreciate it. God bless.
...decided to place Lee on leave. Now, the future of their longtime diversity, equity, and inclusion chief is uncertain. The New York Times writes that employees' concerns centered on a pair of events that were billed as diving into the spectrum of the American white woman's experience and hearing from white women who work at Uber with a focus on the Karen persona. They were intended to be an open and honest conversation about race, according to the invitation. Employees turned to the company's Slack to complain and expressed that they didn't like that some of their white colleagues saw Karen as a derogatory term. But as we all know, Karen absolutely is a derogatory term.
Whoa.
Are we really going to pretend like it's not?
Whoa.
Employees felt the event organizers were minimizing racism and the harm white people can inflict on people of color by focusing on how Karen is a hurtful word, according to messages and an employee who attended the events. Well, it's a derogatory term. That's why it's used in a derogatory sense after someone is perceived to have engaged in bad behavior. Now, the controversy didn't die down. Weeks later, the Karen conundrum was aired in a company-wide meeting. Several weeks after the first event, a black woman asked during an Uber all-hands meeting how the company would prevent tone-deaf, offensive, and triggering conversations from becoming a part of its diversity initiatives. Lee replied, arguing that while the discussions can sometimes feel uncomfortable, they were important and necessary to have. Sometimes being pushed out of your own strategic ignorance is the right thing to do. That's what she said.
So, you guys can go on and watch the rest of this here. I'm not going to play the whole thing. We basically got the key points. A, she, calls out an explicit agenda by this diversity, equity, and inclusion regime of being against white people. And B, she says something that even a lot of conservatives have problems with, but I would 100% agree with, which is that the term Karen is basically a racial slur against white women. That's really what it is, okay? And I saw Matt Walsh this week went out and pointed out the same thing. Yes, Karen is, a racial slur. But like I said, and like I think I may even get comments about, I haven't checked them, but I may even get comments about this. Even a lot of conservatives are not willing to say that. Even a lot of conservatives say that, no, the term Karen is perfectly okay, blah, blah, blah. No. It is meant to be a slur against white women. That's what it's about. Now, before you go say, so Vince, you believe in hate speech? Vince, so you believe in being a snowflake? No, that's not what I'm saying. But when the social standards are set up the way they are, I have to point out that they are set up the way they are, okay? And it is important to acknowledge, yes, Karen is a derogatory statement against white women. You may say, but that's free speech. We should have a culture of free speech. Who cares about offending people? Who cares about being snowflakes? Perhaps. But as Matt Walsh pointed out this week, what if that were done in the reverse? Okay, so Karen refers to an annoying white woman. Okay, fine. This is what Matt Walsh said. It's not even what I'm saying. This is what Matt Walsh proposed. Okay, so would it be socially acceptable to say Shaniqua about an annoying black woman, right? Or, you know, I don't know, what would be an annoying other races? Let's just say Shaniqua about an annoying black woman. Okay, so if you're dealing with customer service and there's an annoying black woman in customer service instead of an annoying white woman, which I think probably happens just as much, is it okay socially to say Shaniqua? No, it's not. Well, then that's why I'm against the term Karen, right? So I know conservatives will come to me saying, who cares? You're being soft. You're being a snowflake. It's not about that. Because honestly, if I truly had it my way, we'd really have a society where everyone just has fun and people don't get so hung up over words, just racial, quote unquote, you know, words or stereotypes or any of that stuff in general, because we all sort of just like have fun and learn to live with each other, and that's how it is, right? But my issue with the term Karen, as she points out, as Matt Walsh points out, but still as a lot of people on the right just don't really comprehend, don't really get, is that my problem is the standard. My problem is the fact that it is only okay to promote and mainstream racial slurs against white people, but no other race of people. Why? Because you basically, and I've talked about this before, we have like this system of anarcho-tyranny in our culture, right? In the same exact way that if you're, for instance, on a New York City subway and some cracked out homeless guy is attacking you, but you defend yourself, you're the one who gets in trouble. It's really the same way in our culture, right? Right? You can go and call, especially for white people, because if you're a white man on the subway is what I should add to it. Because if you're a white person, they can call you all they want. They can say white people this, white people that, white man bad, Karen this and that. But if you were to turn around and do the exact same thing, right? That's my problem. That's my fundamental problem with the term Karen, is that it is promoted, yes, as a slur against white women. But before you say, and I saw conservatives saying this in response to Matt Walsh, so you're saying you believe in hate speech? So you're getting offended? You're getting triggered? No. What I am saying is that the reason why that is socially acceptable, but something like Shaniqua or, other terms are not, is again, because there is a specific bias against white people. Okay. But anyways, point being here, that's why I don't think Karen should be used. That's why I agree with Anna on that front. But as for Ana Kasparian herself, hey, I don't know what's going on there. Frankly, I don't know what's really happening here, but the take there, I could understand how it's sort of classically liberal. I get that too. You could say, you show this to some like anti-PC liberal in the 90s, like Bill Maher, he'd probably say, I think that's so true. But, this is a take that for cultural standards today is pretty out there, especially to go out there and say you don't think the term Karen is socially acceptable. So, I don't know what the deal is with Anna, but props to her. I don't know if she's changing. I don't know if she's always been like this, but, I got to give credit where it's due. Because again, there are still a lot of people in our movement in the right wing who are not willing to acknowledge or still don't get what Ana Kasparian, far left, TYT, progressive, pointed out there. So I find that to be honestly quite impressive. Okay. Hey guys, Vince Dow here. Hope you enjoyed that clip from the Vince Dow Show. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And be sure to check out the Vince Dow Show live every weeknight here on this channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It is a great show. Many are saying this. So leave a like, check out our other clips, and be sure to check out the show. Yeah. God bless.